Well, here we are. Welcome to DC Coast to Coast, cooking in the kitchen with Boom Chang Records. Special guest today, they're all special guests as we know, is Dan Walsh, banjo extraordinaire. Quite well renowned on the folk scene. So we've got him in the kitchen today to have a bit of a play, a bit of a sing, and give us some information on his background. How we doing, Dan?
Really good. Good to see you.
Yeah. Hey, it's great to have you on board and in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Interesting place for you to come and play your banjo.
It is. I've done 1 or 2 house concerts, but never in a kitchen.
Have you?
Never in a kitchen.
Do you think that's taken on the house concerts thing?
Yeah, I mean, not as much over here as other places. I mean, like, musicians do whole tours of Canada and the US where they just only play house concerts because they have such massive houses in the middle of nowhere. So
and people turn up to go to their homes, I guess.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Nice. But I did some in New Zealand, actually. I did a couple in New Zealand, and that
sounds
was really
great.
good.
You can actually see the whites of their eyes, I guess, can you?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's intimate, certainly.
Oh, well, very, very good to that. So, how long have you been playing banjo?
I took it up when I was 13, so that's 14 years ago.
13?
Right. Yeah, I was 13. I was already playing guitar. Started guitar when I was about 9 or 10, and that was always my ambition.
Was it?
The guitar, yeah. But then I just heard banjo a few times in Irish music and kind of liked the sound. Took it up on a little bit of a whim, really. Never thought it would become like the main instrument, but it really did. I mean, within about 6 months, it was just an obsession. It had taken over, and it's certainly what I'm best known for. I still play guitar a lot, but banjo is definitely my forte, I think.
It certainly suits you, that's for sure. Now, on the little bits that I have heard of you, your style isn't regular banjo to what I'm used to hearing, you know, from the bluegrass, and I don't know if that's a compliment or a criticism. No, then the reason I say that is some of the bits and pieces I've heard you play have had very much sort of European or Eastern European type of, well, let's use the phrase, you know, the progressions of the chord or something like that, you know, or that style or that particular note.
Sure, yeah.
Also heard a little bit of Indian type sitar type things in there as well. Are you drawn to world music, and are you put that influence into your banjo? Or?
Absolutely, yeah, and I always was. I mean, even before I took up the banjo, this was what a cool kid I was. I used to spend a lot of time on the internet, and even pre-internet. Do you remember Encarta, the computer encyclopedia?
Oh, really?
Used to listen to music from all over the world, even at a young age. Even like 9 or 10, I was just really interested in all kinds of types of music. And I think, to be honest, when I took up the banjo, I'd never heard bluegrass or American music. I'd never heard it. Right. So, and I mean, I love it now, and I play some of it now, but I never, so I never really had a firm idea of what the banjo was supposed to do.
Right.
Which I think has helped me, actually, because I think if you grow up in North Carolina or somewhere, it's sort of so much a part of where you are that you expect... Exactly, you expect the banjo to do a very particular thing, whereas I never had that in my mind. So I've just always kind of approached it in a very gung-ho, eclectic fashion. It was never a terribly deliberate thing to go, no one's ever done this on the banjo, so I'm going to try. It was never really like that. It was just whatever music I liked, I didn't see any reason not to.
It's interpretation, isn't it?
The banjo,
you know, if you hear a musical phrase or something and you try it out on that instrument, all of a sudden it has a different slant to it, doesn't it? So.
It does, totally. And I think but funnily enough, the style that I play is called clawhammer, which is actually a really traditional American style. It's just that I don't necessarily use it.
You don't use picks, though?
No, I can't use them.
Can you?
Terrible at them. Right. Yeah, there's 2 kind of main ways of playing. So there's a finger picking style, which you hear a lot in bluegrass, where nearly all play with finger picks. Yeah. But I'm really bad with finger picks. But clawhammer, it's much more normal to use your finger. It's your nail, really.
I can see there's a lot of wear on that. Does that class as a drum skin?
It does, yes. It does look a bit tired.
Bit of wear and tear on that, isn't it?
I'm getting it changed soon, actually, because it does.
Looks good.
I know it's got a good rugged kind of look, but I think it's probably had a lot of.
Maybe get some LEDs popping through it. Or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. So why don't you give us one of the tunes and one of the sort of ones that gives us a bit of style on what you bring to the banjo, you know?
Well, yeah, I suppose...
What's this one called?
This is called Time to Stay. So I guess one of my big things was getting into kind of playing sort of funk and blues type of sounds on the banjo. So this is probably reflective of that. So this is...
Funk and blues on the banjo. Take it away.
Guess so. This is Time to Stay.
I'm leaving in the morning. I am homeward bound. Reality is dawning, the truth I have found. I still love this city, but I have to find my way back back round. I just can't see me here 10 or more years from now. Things just change sometimes, there's been no round. I still love this city, but I have to get back home somehow. But I can't wait to be back where I belong. No time to waste. The car is packed, so let's get going. I can't wait to go to the local every day. I've loved my time away from here, but now it's time to stay. I look back over my shoulder as I close the door. This place has been a home to me, a part of my very core. I still love this city and I'll still come back for more. But I can't wait to be back where I belong. No time to waste. The car is packed, so let's get going. I can't wait to go to the local every day. I've loved my time away from here, but now it's time to stay. I don't care if people think that the world's another place. I've spread my wings far and wide, but nothing's like the taste of home. Reality will sink in, and I don't know how many days. Funny how the right move can make you feel so many ways. I still love this city, and there's not a bad word I can say. But I can't wait to be back where I belong. No time to waste. The car is packed, so let's get going. I can't wait to go to the local every day. I've loved my time away from here, but now it's time to stay.
Get in, man.
That's a great Geordie response, that. Get in, man.
Get in, man. I love that. Do you know what it was? I mean, the chords, you're picking through melody. That was fantastic.
Thank you very much.
And there's a lot of great fancy riffs in there as well, isn't there?
I like a bit of that, yeah. It's quite appropriate, actually, because it's sort of about moving back to my hometown of Stafford, but the town that the city I'm referring to in the song that I'm leaving is Newcastle. Because I was at university here for
Is that how your connection is with up here? You came to study up here. It's amazing how many people actually come up to the northeast to study.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Well, I did 4 years uni and stayed on for another 2 years because I loved the city so much. So it really hurt to leave. As much as Stafford's very dear to me, so I was glad to move back there. But yeah, I've always had a great fondness for this region.
Well, it's not far for you to get here. Couple of trains maybe or a long car.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's brilliant. So, I mean, I'm just probably in awe of what you just did there from a musician's point of view to see your ability to song. And that's all self-taught, is it? Or
no, I wish it was. Well, I mean, I was lucky in that when I first sort of said to my parents that I fancied the banjo thing, they went to the old Staffordshire Music Centre, which isn't even there anymore, but they said, do you know any banjo teachers? And the shop had this card on the wall for George Davis, who lived in Cannock, the next town, and he was just the best mentor I could ever have had.
Oh, really?
He was just, I owe him so much, and he taught
a few paints.
Oh, just a bit. But he taught me this clawhammer style.
Yeah.
I mean, the sort of funky percussion thing is kind of my creation, but he gave me all the tools to come up with that. Really,
to work with it. Well, it's good that you've taken that, you've developed it into your own way.
I hope so. Yeah. I think if nothing else, I'm quite a different kind of banjo player.
Yeah. Well, as I made earlier, you certainly have a different sound to what I'm used to hearing. That's for sure. And it's a good point. So you're out there doing solo tours. Do you work with bands? I mean, session musicians. Talk to us a little bit about your background musically.
Yeah, so I mean, I had my first band was at school, and we did a lot of gigs in Stafford pubs and stuff. Which I think gigging in pubs was the making of me as a performer. Right. I think because I was always reasonably happy to stand on a stage and play. I was always much more nervous about talking and, you know, being an entertainer in that kind of way. And I think in a pub, my favourite pub in Stafford particularly was great because it's quite a demanding pub in that it's often quite busy and you get a lot of very funny people in there who know how to make you laugh. And I think that was great because they were also very supportive. So I think I was eased into kind of being a lot more confident at chatting and entertaining. Right. And I think coming up here actually, and again, you know what Geordies are like, you know, they'll always talk to you. You know, whatever you do, so that was great too. But basically, solo performing has always been a thing for me. Great. Always been a massive deal for me, and I'm on a solo tour at the moment. I've got a night off tonight, but
where's it taking you?
Literally everywhere from Inverness to Cornwall. This tour, so it's all over the UK.
And on your own?
All solo. I did a gig with a one-off gig with Alistair Anderson, great concertina player from these parts, that in Teesside on Saturday. But and I've got a couple of duo ones this week, but it's mostly it's a solo tour really.
But how do you find the travelling that distance on your own in the car?
Do you know, I really love it actually. I think I like the kind of freedom of turning up, particularly somewhere like Cornwall that's very scenic. It's great to turn up and just do what you want to do, and I think that's kind of fun. And I think I meet so many people that it never feels lonely or anything. Right. I mean, you know, because you've got your job obviously is to entertain, and then you end up talking to people after, and you bump into people you know around and about as well. But I do also play with a band called the Urban Folk Quartet.
Oh, well, that sounds interesting.
Which I really enjoy. So I think I really enjoy doing both. I think I've really enjoyed really getting into the solo thing, and there's certain things that work better solo, and certain things where it's great fun to have a band on board. So
you can bounce your ideas around as well, can't you?
Exactly, so I think it's good to do both.
So are you playing Newcastle?
Yes. So on the 16th of April, it's actually at the university in King's Hall.
All right.
At the Armstrong building, So that'll be really good,
And I bet you're putting it all across your social media because you're probably very active in that, aren't
you? Well, of course, especially this tour is promoting my new album, which is released today, in fact, this very day.
Hey, well done. And you're in the kitchen today on the day of release?
Yeah, on the day of release.
Hey, I'm glad we got you.
Yeah, so it's so obviously I'm publicising that everywhere I can.
Well, tell them down that lens.
So the album's called Incidents and Accidents, and it's available from Amazon, iTunes, all the usual places.
And your websites and Twitter?
Yes, so danwalshbanjo.co.uk, and Facebook is facebook.com/danwalshmusic, and my Twitter is danwalshbanjo. Everyone's
so active on that nowadays, aren't they?
I think, it's a great way to reach people. You know, I there are plenty of things about Facebook I don't like, but but it is pretty great being able to set up an event and invite everyone. It's a great way of instantly reaching a lot of people, and that's obviously a great thing.
Best way to connect. Anyway, another tune?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you want to play for us now?
So this is a song called "The Hermit of Gully Lake," which I wrote.
Is it a real place, the lake?
It is. So basically, this is about a guy from Canada. When I was touring in Canada, we were playing at an art centre in Truro in Nova Scotia, and myself and Megan, who I was touring with, Megan Blanchard, there were all these pictures on the wall of this old guy, and he looked kind of scraggy, and I was wondering, who's this? So I asked the guy there, and basically he was a bit of a cult hero in that region.
How was he?
He was conscripted to fight in the Second World War, but he was a devout pacifist, so totally disagreed with war on every level, which I'm kind of with him on that.
Yeah, with him there.
So basically he deserted the troop train. He jumped off the troop train because he felt killing was always wrong, and he hid himself in the middle of nowhere in Nova Scotia and ended up living in a tiny wooden shed. And lived there for about 60 years, just stayed there. Wow. So even long past the end of the war and long past when deserters had been pardoned, and I'm sure he would have been perfectly safe to go back to society, but he just chose to live this unbelievable solitary existence. And he built his own instruments as well, and kind of played and sang. And for obvious reasons, not too many people knew about him for a while, but they sort of discovered him after a while, and I just thought there's got to be a song in this. So I wrote the song, and it's actually based on a traditional tune from Finland as well. So.
Oh, great. You get all of your influences from around the world. I love that.
Yeah, I think there's so much great music out there to be influenced by, I guess. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, so this is The Hermit of Gully Lake.
Been a long hour and I haven't seen the light of day. The wind and rain devours my latest chance to get away. I ran for many miles, didn't know the things that I would face. The howling wind and I engaged in some uneven race. Maybe this small hut be home to me. Maybe there's no one I need to see. Maybe this is an odd way to be, but maybe there's no one I need to see. I couldn't stay to fight, no matter what the cause may be. People ask me why, but I know that they just would not see. Time has rolled along through all the hours and all the years. I don't think I was wrong, that hasn't stopped all of the tears. Maybe this small hut be home to me. Maybe there's no one I need to see. Maybe this is an odd way to be, but maybe there's no one I need to see. I've got all the time to be at one with nature's there. There's a world outside, but I don't need to feel I'm there. People ask me why, I'm happy just to play and sing. No matter how they try, I will not sign a single thing. Maybe this small hut be home to me. Maybe there's no one I need to see. Maybe this is an odd way to be, but maybe there's no one I need to see. Maybe this small hut be home to me. Maybe there's no one I need to see. Maybe this is an odd way to be, but maybe there's no one I need to see.
Thank you very much.
Lovely song.
Cheers.
Anyway, it summed up his story, didn't it? A little bit.
Hopefully, I'm sure.
Very, very good. Talk to us a little bit about your album and how it came about. I mean, did you set about to do an album, or was it written songs? And...
Yeah, I mean, I recorded my first solo album in 2009, I think,
right.
Which I did very much on a shoestring. I mean, I was a student still, so I mean...
sometimes they're the best ways of doing things.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So that's called Tomorrow's Still to Come, and then I recorded with Walsh and Pam, which was a duo I was in, and then I recorded The Same But Different 3 years ago. And then with this album, I had a bunch of songs that I was really pleased with. I think the songwriting has been more of a focus on this album. So previous albums, this thing's been the main focus.
That's moved you forward, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have songs that I kind of feel strongly about, and I suppose I've just got more life experience to write about, inevitably. And I think also my two previous solo albums were very damn Walsh band. So it was kind of me, but with quite a big accompanying sound.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad I did, but I think given that I performed solo so much, it made sense to do an album that was much more like
the bare bones
like
almost.
that.
Yeah.
So it's a very solo album. I mean, there are a few guest appearances. Patsy Reed plays fiddle on a couple, and Nick Supardi plays mandolin on a couple, and Megan Blanchard sang a couple of harmonies. But really, that's it. It's pretty much solo.
Yeah.
And I think somehow the songs sort of suited that as well. I think there's a sort of more intimate feel to the whole thing.
Sure.
So I very much wanted to do another album because I hadn't done one for a couple of years, for one thing. But also I felt the material was really there to do that.
You were ready to do it, yeah.
And I felt the material knitted together perhaps better. I think my previous two albums, because my tastes are very eclectic, so I think the two previous albums, while entertaining, I think are very kind of, wow, what the hell is this? Like, there's one, whereas I think this album's perhaps got a little bit more of a focus to it, with a few surprises.
Well, as you're getting older, you mellow and you start being a bit more, what's the word? Careful in your choices.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I mean, I don't think I'll ever make a wholly simple album. I think there are a few surprises on there still, but it's...
Yeah, but that's part of your nature, that's your character, and that comes out, doesn't it, with the music?
And there's a good few instrumentals on there too. I mean, there's still plenty of banjo stuff, and everything like that, but I think I think the songwriting's the stronger card on this one, really.
That's great. Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you for coming in. Have a cup of tea, cup of coffee.
Yeah,
whatever you have. And maybe you could finish off with one of the instrumentals.
Of course. Well, you...
So what's this one called?
Tuning.
Yeah, tuning.
Yeah, exactly.
Tuning is always a wonderful pastime for any musician that's in the music industry. You have to learn about the whole tuning process.
That's right.
I think banjos is one of the classic examples of.
Well, that's the thing. It's a rubbish tune, but banjoists seem to love it. Well, going back to your earlier comment about taking my influences from all over the world. So one of my massive passions is Indian classical music. When I first heard it, it just got me. I don't know why. It just totally got me. And very foolishly, I decided to try playing it on the banjo. And I ended up getting invited out to India to play some of that stuff with the Indian guys.
You've getting around the world with your instrument a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, especially over the last couple of years. That's been a really good feature of the last few years. But and India particularly was a genuine dream come true for me as well. But I think I came away from India feeling totally inspired, and I kind of wanted to write something in that vein, but with a little bit of a nod to kind of Britain and Ireland as well. I felt sort of I wanted to write something that came from kind of the heart, but also really took on that influence. So I wrote a reel, a dance tune. Yep. And I deliberately kept to quite a normal reel form, so like 2 8-bar parts in 4/4, but using an Indian mode on the banjo. And originally I sort of had it it was in with a couple of other tunes as a tune set, but over time I felt it had the potential to be a standalone number. So I sort of did a little bit of a thing called alab at the start, which is basically sort of quite free improvising, and then going into the tune, and then with an outro as well. So it's sort of a little bit like a raga, but shorter than most ragas, because a lot of them are about 3 hours long. So I wrote this. So this is the Whiplash reel.
The Whiplash reel. Well, I'll just say thank you. Thanks to Dan for coming in and giving us some of these fantastic tunes on banjo. And we'll let him close out the show tonight. And thanks for coming, Dan.
My pleasure.
Here he is with the Whiplash reel. Enjoy.
Bye.